They were skinheads at one time, but they became one of Britain's foremost glam bands back in the early 70s. Oh man, talk about Slade! And Slade made a comeback here in America. Now, I didn't get the chart position on this record. I think it made top 30 for them. Slade, their first big American hit. Boy, it was a long time coming. Hitting the British charts in the early 70s, and I'll get into that. And yet, it'd be another 10 years before they'd have their first big hit here in America, and it was only a couple of them. Slade at number 17 on my fantasy playlist the week of June the 11th, 1984. Runaway. Got that classic rock, got a little bit of that glam in there too, like back in the day. Slade, the album, actually in England, the album was called Amazing Kamikaze Syndrome. That sounds like a Slade album. But over here in America, it was renamed Keep Your Hands Off My Power Supply. You better believe it. Boy, I got that thing. I'm gonna keep that plug all the way in the socket. Just keep pumping out that good rock and roll. I flipped over this record. I was a Slade fan. I gotta go back real quick. First song I heard by Slade, it was in the fall of 1972. It was Mama, We're All Crazy Now. I flipped over this record. It was melodic, it was hard, it was fast, it was fun, it was to the point. It was one of the best hard rock records I've ever heard. And it bombed here in America. Only got as high as 76. Go figure. In Britain, it debuted at number 2. And it went to number 1 the next week. For 3 weeks in the fall of 1972. Slade, Mama, We're All Crazy Now. And then after that, it was Goodbye to Jane, another rock and roll record. It went to number 2 in Britain, but here in the States, it went to number 76. I think I wrote down the chart position correctly on that. I might be a little bit off, but the bottom line is that they didn't make top 40 over here. They should have been big hits. Can't understand that. And Goodbye to Jane at number 2, and then Come On, Feel the Noise. The original version. I heard their version, the original version of Come On, Feel the Noise by Slade, made popular by Quiet Riot, and their version was great. But the original by Slade, I remember hearing that on a radio station in Florida back in June of 1973, and that was it. I only heard it once. It only got up to it scooted up to number 98 on Billboard's Hot 100. These were 3 fine rock and roll records that did not make top 40 in America, and that's a shame. And guess who produced those 3 records? Mama, We're All Crazy Now, Goodbye to Jane, and Come On, Feel the Noise. Chas Chandler, former bass player of the Animals, manager of Jimi Hendrix, brought Jimi Hendrix to England where he picked up momentum, which later translated to fame here in America. Chas Chandler producing and managing Slade in the late 60s and early 70s. Gotta give it up to Chas Chandler. Gotta give a shout out to Chas Chandler. Producing these fine rock and roll records, Come On, Feel the Noise, the original. But now we're in 1984, and Slade finally had their first American top 40 hit with Runaway. It's at number 17 on my fantasy playlist.